You have a TV?
No. I just like to read the TV guide. Read the TV guide. You don't need a TV. Television addict! Television addict! Television addict!
Hello, everybody. Welcome. It's Wednesday. It's time for a brand new edition of TV Guidance Counselor, the show where I, Ken Reed, your humble host, uses old editions of TV Guide to talk to a guest about what they watched growing up and the work they've done as a writer, actor, musician, just an interesting person. Been doing the show 4.5 years now, and I still love doing it, and I hope that you still love hearing it. If it is your first time listening to the show, if my excellent guest this week is what brought you here, welcome. We have brand new episodes each and every Wednesday. We've done almost 300 episodes, so there's a huge backlog to go through, but my recommendation is if you like this episode, go back and cherry pick some of the older ones with people that you may recognize or that you would like to hear speak. I'm a little bit biased, but I think they're all pretty damn good. We get a TV guide, someone goes through it, they write down what they'd watch that week, they have their list, I have the guide, and we talk about their choices. And that is exactly what we did this week with my guest, the one and only Ione Skye. You probably best know Ione from Say Anything, where she was the pivotal role of Diane Court. She was also in River's Edge, a ton of other stuff. We talk about all that here. Couldn't be nicer. It was so cool getting to talk to her. She's super smart and talented and doing all kinds of other things. She's doing art and writing kids' books and directing and all kinds of stuff. And she was just cast in the new Lena Dunham show with Jennifer Garner. I think it's called Camping. Maybe I'm wrong. I should probably look it up, but I know that she just got into that. She was waiting for the call when we talked, and congratulations to her. But I had a great time talking to her. She was incredibly gracious. I cannot believe that she sat down, took some time out of her day to talk to me about old TV, and I cannot thank her enough. And you will thank her when you listen to how great this chat is. So please sit back, relax, and enjoy today's episode of TV Guidance Counselor with my guest, Ione Skye.
TV is my friend, and it has been always there for me in time of need.
Ione Skye, how are you?
I'm great.
Thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah, thank you.
In this new West Coast pop-up studio that I've done here. We went and saw our pony. That was very exciting.
The pony was nursing while the mom was eating, and it was beautiful.
It's the first time I've done a recording that involved a pony at some point. This is good. My wife grew up with a horse, and I think the last time I rode a horse, I was like 7 at a dude ranch in New York. That was terrifying, and I've never gone near them again.
I did a stunt on a horse, and I kind of fell, and I still am nervous like anytime I go back.
I imagine it's just like I think one bit me when I was a kid, and it was like I can still feel it.
I mean, I feel like I can tell what a dog is going to do. I can read their signs, and a cat. Yeah. But a horse, I worship them. They're divine, but I just don't. I can't read them. Yeah. I just don't know. Are you happy, or do you like if I talk to you this way? And anyway, and if you ask horse people, they kind of dumb them down. They're like, they're not that smart. I'm like, really?
Like,
that's so mean.
This majestic beast could kick me to death at any moment.
Smart.
It knows how to do things.
Yeah.
It does stunts. It knows how to do things. What was the horse stunt for?
It was a really strange job that was so incredible to film, but it was it was in the Sahara Desert.
Oh, wow.
We were filming. It was sort of a TV show for ABC that was supposed to be sort of like a Raiders of the Lost Ark, and it was one of these productions that was Italian, Tunisian, and German, and American financing. Yep. It was a big budget, and I don't think it saw the light of day, maybe, but it was an incredible experience.
Was it, were the production people mostly Italian?
When we were in Tunisia, it was mostly Italian. We filmed also in Cinecittà, is that how to say it, in Rome. So it was like dreamy locations, fun people. The director kind of hated me. I think I wasn't his first choice. Okay. And I was just at a funny place in my life, and I'm sure he wanted me to lose like 10 pounds at the time, and I don't know, but it was...
Falling off a horse was the least of your troubles during
I mean, usually one of my good qualities is I'm easy to work with, but this was maybe the only director that I didn't get along with, but it was worth it. The whole job was just like, it was incredible.
I mean, shooting international like that's strange too, because like Italy, they don't do sync sound. It's all post-dubbed.
Right.
And
he and I were in such a bad place that when I went to do he asked, can I just dub your whole performance? And I was like, no, but then kind of maybe, because I don't want to ever see you again. But also being in Tunisia, this was in the 90s. I guess it's different now. I feel lucky. I was there for months, and now I think it's
sort of gentrified.
Different. No, I think I don't know. I'm embarrassed to say political. I don't know exactly, but at the time, the 90s was, I guess. I don't want to say sweet spot because that sounds like very,
less troubled time.
Less troubled, I guess. I don't know. I should know what's going on, but it was wonderful.
There's another thing that people I know have done movies in Italy and Europe too, where they'll do is really strange. So they'll hire people from all different countries and just let them speak their native language in scenes instead of all speaking English.
Yeah.
Because they're like, we're going to dub it later. So some guy will come in and say his lines in French and someone will say them in Italian.
Right.
I imagine that's like nearly impossible to work around.
Right. I know. I mean, whatever the Italians have done, you think, how did they do that? How are they just, there's some magical, the whole like manifestation thing. And with Italian filmmakers, like, I feel like they just, we'll do this, we'll have that, and they just film it, and they're not, I don't know how they do it.
They're just like, it's no problem, we'll just go, and it'll be fine.
I mean, maybe I've only seen the masterful movies, and I'm saying that, and I haven't seen every Italian movie, but from my point of view, it seems like kind of magical.
I mean, I've seen some bad Italian movies, but they've had some good stuff in it. Like, there's a director named Mario Bava, who ended up he was an amazing special effects guy, and he did all these crazy innovative stuff, and they were always trying to get him to come here, and he was like, nah. Right. And he just was staying in Italy, and the movies have really cool visuals, but a lot of them are not great.
Right.
He made that movie Danger Diabolique.
Oh,
that's Mario Bava.
Oh, okay, right. I recognize the last name. Yes, got it.
So it looks great, and there's cool stuff, but it's just like, I'm just having fun with it.
Right.
I want to sleep in my own bed. Exactly. And drink wine at my table.
Totally. Oh, yeah. The lunches are very, like, wine, good coffee. They brought their own, like, espresso machines to the desert. They're like, we're having good coffee.
I can imagine just a tent and then one of those, like, $2,500 huge
You're
machines.
not far off, I swear.
We have our own barista. He has
it was fantastic.
I did a music festival that they had a comedy tent at, which is always bad. And I got there early, and I go and I check in and I get my credentials, and I'm hanging out backstage, and one of the other comics like texts me. He's like, "Where are you?" I'm like, "I'm backstage." And he's like, "No, you're not." And there was a comics backstage, and we apparently had like a lower level.
Right.
Things. We weren't supposed to be in the real backstage.
So it wasn't good because people are more in the mood for music and not in the mood for comedy?
Yeah, well, I think that people watch comedy and music in such different ways.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to say music's totally passive, but you can like hang out and talk to your friend. And but like just to then switch and just like not talk and pay attention to like some person talking. Right. Plus they put it like on the other side of the festival, but you're still competing with the sound.
Right.
It's in the daytime and it's hot. It's just, it never works. And at least once a year I'll have like a band that asks me to open for them or something.
Isn't it funny that every time you do it again? And then you're just like, wow, this is why I don't want to do this. And then time goes by and then, hey, do you want to do this film? It's all nights. And you're like, oh yeah. And then like, why am I doing a night shoot? Like you forget.
I knew this.
You have amnesia. Like,
or you'll even tell them, you'd be like, look, I did that before and it's not going to be good.
So this will be a little different. No,
it's fun. Come to Italy. Do this thing in the desert.
We have good cappuccino.
But they had their own barista backstage in the real backstage.
Right.
And a sushi chef.
Oh, did you get some before you got kicked out?
Yeah. See, I never got kicked out. I totally thought I was going to. I tried to get the other comics like passes.
Right.
And this will sound like a complete made up lie, but their backstage was outside of the venue in a tent, and the only thing in there was a little like crudité veggie thing. Yeah. That's it. And we literally had like trailers and a sushi chef, and it was a 2-day festival. And so the first night I was leaving and I was going through the backstage and I'm like, I'm totally going to get caught. They're going to be like, you're a comedian. You're not supposed to be back here. And this guy goes, hey, don't forget your cupcakes, and gave me like a tray of cupcakes. I'm like, yeah, this is we are second-class citizens at this festival, but I got good coffee, so that is nice. So I plied you with a series of TV guides here, which I thought would probably be the sweet spot for you, late 70s,
Oh,
early
okay.
80s.
So you have them for the right age. Got it.
And you picked one here that's a wonderful Amsel drawing, very 80s looking drawing of Donnie and Marie on it.
Yeah.
And this one, I'm guessing, let's see, it's 1977.
Okay.
And so what was this one that...
I think because my brother, well, I have only one full brother that I grew up with. And I don't know, we watched Donnie and Marie together, and it was, I think it just made me feel good because a lot of my TV, I think of my brother. And I don't know, I think it just made me think, I have a lot of memories associated with Donnie and Marie.
So you guys were kind of always watching everything together?
Yeah, he's 3 years older, so not everything, but a lot.
Right. Did he make most of the, like, we're watching this, as usually the older sibling does?
For sure.
Because what younger people will find strange, you had to watch all the same thing.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
Couldn't sit in your closet on your phone and watch whatever you want.
No, that's right. I know, which is what was so nice going through the TV guide, thinking of, I really love having that choice made for me. It feels like, but I'm sure if I had to choose between now and then, I would choose now because I like having the choice, but it gives you that nostalgia for sure.
But it's stuff you maybe wouldn't have picked for yourself.
I like that.
Yeah.
I know. I mean, I'm saying I like it and I'm being cautious, but yes, I sort of like that.
I mean, it's there's so many things that I either stumbled on because I was like flipping through channels and I'm like, oh, the young ones. I don't know what this is, but this is my favorite thing now.
Yeah.
Or that someone else, you were like, I don't want to watch that. And then you watched it and you're like, oh, I love this.
Yeah.
That you never would have picked.
Yeah.
I wonder how this will be my old man talk, but I'm like, how do they discover things that they don't already like?
Right. Well, I think probably still getting turned on to things from other people, and also that you go down those rabbit holes. Like I was saying, my 16-year-old always amazes me because she's sort of knows this sort of music like deep into the Kinks, and then the Beach Boys, of course, are very well known, but like certain things of music or certain sort of I don't know, just different things that she'll know. And so she does go by like references from other shows or people or Tumblr or this YouTuber, and I happen to think she has she's quite sophisticated in her taste, and
is very good.
I like it. But
why'd you buy that Dennis Wilson record? How did you hear of that? He's like, I don't
know about that. Yeah. But so I think you still get people kind of opening your eyes, and then you find things. But yeah, so but that thing of things being chosen for you is kind of nice too.
Yeah, and watching stuff together too.
I know.
Like I don't know. I have a lot of friends who have kids, and they'll like purposely make time to watch like a show that they watch together.
Yeah.
Like, this is what we do. But for the most part, like you're not sitting and watching TV with your parents.
I know. I mean, I think parents with the little kids will sit and watch, because now the helicopter parent generation is like, back then you're a little bit like neglected, like you're watching that, or my mom would yell, is that a new cartoon? But I guess that still goes on now. Right. TV as, babysitter. But I don't know. Yeah, I think but that thing of just all sitting on a couch together watching doesn't happen.
Which a variety show is like the perfect thing for that. Because it's hard to convey to people how huge variety shows were in the 70s. Like that was the biggest thing ever. Yeah. And when you rewatch them, they seem hokey and weird. Yeah. But it's like, no, there was something for everybody here. Donnie and Marie, and then they have William Conrad singing a song. What? Yeah. And it's very weird, and you never see... Not never, because you get people like Neil Patrick Harris and stuff, but you would see all kinds of actors doing like a comedy sketch, and then they're dancing, and now they're doing a song, and it's people you would never think of.
Yeah, like the Muppet Show had so many people doing like dancing and singing, for sure.
I wonder if it was just like actors were... it was probably a different generation too, but they were expected to kind of do like all the things. Like,
and also I like that I was flipping through it and thinking... I almost didn't know if I liked so much of the stuff that I watched. I mean, I guess there was stuff that I definitely wouldn't want to watch, but so much of it, I don't know if it's like that for kids now, because they seem to have choice so much. They want to watch this one thing, and they basically also binge watch, they discover Jessie, that Disney show, or whatever it is, and they watch the whole 5 seasons or whatever. But for us, it was like, I don't know if I even liked Donnie and Marie, but I watched it. Like, you know, it's this, I don't know if kids are like that where you just
not watch it.
Yeah, you just I like that you just like, I don't know if I even, it was now my 16-year-old, she's so, it's just, they're so like everyone has their opinion.
Oh yeah.
They, you know, and I don't know if we were like that. I don't think so. I think in high school, there's a couple of people that, you know, would say like K-Rock is over, and I'm like, what? You know, but my daughter, they're all their generation have opinions of what's good and what. Back then, you just watched it and you didn't complain. You just watched it.
You need to know about it because you needed that like cultural capital at school to talk about it.
Yeah, right.
If you didn't watch Happy Days, like what else are you going to talk about at school in 4th grade?
Right.
But yeah, you definitely wouldn't be like, well, I think the first season was
right. And now everyone's like a showrunner at its teenage
and they know,
in their mind.
They know who works on the shows now. That's really weird. Like I remember, because I was super nerd for TV, I would like have a notebook and be like, oh, I like this show. Oh, who wrote it? And then like maybe try and figure, this guy wrote this too. But that was really odd.
Yeah, that's good. I'm just trying to get that way now. Just so
But kids seem to know that now. Like they'll be like, oh, it's this person's show. I know they know the word showrunner, which I don't think anyone knew.
I know. It's incredible.
And you grew up here, right?
I grew up here, yeah.
Did you go to Hollywood High?
I did for a little bit.
So is that weird watching this stuff? And there's also like the kid of a person who's on the show you watch.
Well, that's more in Hollywood High was kind of a rougher school, but there's my daughter she's now, you know, in her boarding school, but the school she went to, the private school is everyone's like, you know, not everyone, but it's pretty connected parents and stuff. And it's kind of the only person, like I was really starstruck by, Steve Carell, and I was like,
he's a Massachusetts guy.
Oh yeah,
yeah. He still owns a general store in Marshfield where I grew up. I think his brother runs it, but like everyone's like, he's just randomly in there.
Right. Oh, that's really funny. Weird. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, you know, like that. But I mean, this particular school tries to just be like chill.
Everyone's cool.
Right. Like no one really cares. But anyway, but Hollywood High was more like 640 dialects. Like it was a very integrated major league public school.
Because that's probably the closest thing to like an urban school in that area, I guess, because it is right. It always shocked me how it's like, it's right there.
Yeah.
It's right next to the In-N-Out, right in the middle of Hollywood.
Yeah.
When Hollywood Boulevard was pretty unpleasant, probably.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It was like one day I ditched, which was the worst because I wasn't that kind of, I didn't like doing stuff like that. Yeah. I was more, if I did bad things, I'm so superficial. If it was in like nicer surroundings, I would get that kind of like, this isn't so bad. But if it was with like rough kids ditching school, it's like, oh, I'm a loser. Where's my life going?
Who am I mixing myself with?
If it was like, I don't know, you know, Scott Baio, let's ditch. I'd be like, this is like in a TV show.
Let's go to Malibu.
Fabulous.
Go to the beach.
Yeah, it would have been like, Rob Lowe, we're ditching. But it was, you know, Hollywood High, we once ditched and went to like a coffee shop, and that was depressing.
Oh, I can imagine. It was like all hookers and
it was
B movies.
Where's my life going? I'm
what
15.
have I done? But how old were you? The first thing you did was?
I was 15. So that's also Hollywood High really reminds me of, before that I went for 2 years to Immaculate Heart, which is a Catholic school. My mom's Jewish, but we went, the Catholic school was fantastic. It was not too expensive. I mean, we had to leave eventually because it got too expensive for her, but private school compared to public school is a big difference.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
I mean, there's a few public schools that are great if the parents get really involved, but I was it was good for me to go to this private school. And then we couldn't afford it, and I was in Hollywood High, and I was sort of like not academic. I couldn't find my way, and I just was lost in this sea of people. And then I got my first job at acting, and I think
which was River's Edge was the
River's
first
Edge,
thing?
And that was, I think, part of why I worked so hard on that audition, because I was scared and I didn't really think, I wasn't like, I want to be an actor. But I think part of it was like, I've got to get out of here. I'm ditching school. I was watching a stream of the Blue Turtles, the Sting movie with these kids who loved, I mean, I loved The Police and
but
Sting.
Not Sting as an actor.
But yeah, this like film we watched like over and over, and I don't know, I was like, what is going on with my life?
Couldn't even be The Bride?
Yeah. It's like, this is not.
Yeah, I think
This is not my life.
Yeah, that's funny. So that was like I'm going to be an actor to get out of here.
Yeah, it was I do remember like being on the steps outside school, waiting to hear if I got the part, and like sort of doing a prayer, like God, get me.
That's a heavy movie. Like that's a tough.
I know that was good. It was, but I wasn't goth on the outside, but I loved David Lynch, and so for me that was, and the same person who shot Blue Velvet shot this, and I knew that, and I was kind of, I was sort of like, well, if I'm gonna have to be at a movie, may as well be this one.
But I mean, that's kind of a level of sophistication for 15 years.
I was a bit
who's shooting the
precocious.
stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
So was your mom more protective of you because you were the younger one, or was there like, oh, we kind of learned this lesson with your brother and now you do this, or was it kind of like, oh, if you want to be an actor, be an actor? She
was amazed that my brother, she's kind of shy and she never would perform herself, but my brother was born like tap dancing, out of the womb. He just was like, he got himself in the all night long Lionel Richie video.
Oh yeah, he's in the all night long video.
Yeah, he was like that. He was a pop locker. So at the time, that's how my brother got into the business, because he was pop locking, and then it was so big. Yeah. It was on like Alice, the TV show, because rerun popped and locked or was breakdancing, and my brother got in as an actor, and now he produces, but. Anyway, and he just literally like came home one day and was like, there's this audition and they're auditioning all these teens. And he had shown the casting director, we were in like a newspaper magazine together, just doing a modeling thing just it wasn't like professional. It was just my mom's friend shot it.
Yeah.
And I guess the casting director was like, your sister looks good for this. Does she act? And he got me to go in and I was like, no way. But then my mother's friend said, why not just go in for the audition? If you don't get it, you're right here where you are. And if you do get it, it'll be like an adventure. And like, and then I think I started thinking, oh, I could change my life. And it was good for me because I wasn't so my mother was a nice Jewish mother, but kind of bohemian at the same time. Very but she wasn't, she was just protective enough. But she also was happy because the quality of the jobs. I think if it was like really like bad, like something didn't feel.
You weren't doing Corman movies, and I mean, Jumping with River's Edge, which was a lower budget-ish movie because it was a little indie-ish, but it was still like really critically acclaimed.
Yes,
and the young cast in that movie is unbelievable.
Yeah,
the quality is so high.
And she like was excited because Dennis Hopper was in it for her, but she wasn't.
That was like his comeback movie between that and Blue Velvet too.
Totally, and she wasn't a crazed. She definitely wasn't like a manager mom or pushing us. My brother, like, he would have done it come hell or high water.
Right.
And I sort of he kind of pulled me in, which was really great.
She didn't discourage it, but
she was kind of amazed. She was like, I don't know how you guys do it. And I'm way more kind of scared always of performing. I'm just getting a little over it these days. But so for my brother, he lives to be on a stage and do the whole thing. But it's definitely hard for me. But she also was like me. She just like, how do you guys do that? But great.
Once you do it, you're like, great. This is what we do.
Yeah, and she's happy. She's just a good mom. She's happy.
What a difficult, intimidating thing to jump into. Because like one of the things I always ask is like, were there people you watched growing up that you had to work with later, and was that difficult? But I mean, the first thing you're in is Dennis Hopper.
Yeah, it's funny. I was a little nervous, but then the other actress, she was really sweet. She just gave me like one little note. But I loved the environment of that movie, whereas Say Anything was much more intimidating for me for some reason. And, like Cameron Crowe brought an acting coach on at one point. I don't know. I just feel like River's Edge, Tim Hunter, the director, just was like letting us do our thing. And not that Cameron Crowe was bad. I think I was more like it was James Brooks. I think because River's Edge was an indie. I wasn't wasn't that intimidating. It felt like artsy or something.
And it was more ensemble too. Like you had, plus you had the, like in Say Anything, you're the focal point of the plot.
And I had these, and I had these. Like, yes. And River's Edge, the cast were more, like, it was more like, I don't know, a group like you're saying, but that's how they felt. Like everyone was sort of doing their own thing and we were all doing it together. Say anything, it was like, it was more, I mean, John Cusack doesn't have a movie star personality, but he has a larger than life. And I just was intimidated. And, you know, and then Jim Brooks, I was like, this is like commercial, you know, and I think I felt very indie and I felt like, oh, I'm not going to be able to do a commercial movie.
Yeah, you go from playing a goth in an indie kind of dark movie to a romantic comedy.
And then, and John Cusack was so, I think it was the commercial thing scared me. I felt comfortable always like indie. And that's why, and then my life became kind of like very indie. And then I was like, I want to be commercial.
Well, that's the maturity we all go through. We're like, I'm an artist. And you're like, I would like to make some money as well.
I want to be in these big, warm,
artist again,
slick things.
But was the first TV show you did Covington Cross, or had you done some? Because you mostly did movies, and then
I did one of my. I think my third job was a big, again, I think it was ABC miniseries with Jacqueline Bisset and Armand Desante. It was Napoleon. Yes. So that was really amazing because I was 16 and that was in France for months. And that was like, there was so much money back then. Like I wasn't getting tons of money, but I had, the driver, the per diem, the beautiful hotel, and then time off, we went to London to see friends and my mom came with me and it was just,
that's Hollywood. You're like, wow.
Yeah, this is that was great. And the costumes I'm such a nerd I don't think it's nerdy. When you're a nerd about costume dramas, like you don't even think it's called costume drama. You're just like, I love these dresses.
Who gets, the way that people do like LARPing and stuff now, you're like, I got to basically be in as close to revolutionary France as possible.
Yeah,
with the highest quality stuff.
And you get to, and Covington Cross was medieval. I mean, we filmed before it moved to the studio, Shepperton Studios, permanently. We were filming in medieval castles and you're there for days walking around, like the vibes, the little rooms that the monks lived in, or it's heaven. Yeah. I mean, I was like, my nickname was like Space Cadet when I was a kid because I was like, I'm the Greek goddess Hera. Like I was really just, fantasy playing in my head all the time. So for me to be in those places for extended periods of time, amazing.
It makes it probably easier to get into the role when you're kind of like living it a little bit.
Totally, yeah. Because I think, but my acting on Covington Cross wasn't great, despite the medieval vibes.
But that show, they really promoted that show as like, this is going to be a huge thing. And then it was, a season, I think, or maybe 13,
I think it was too expensive.
It looked expensive. It was.
I don't know what it was, but it was so fun though, because every week was like a new actor from the Royal Shakespeare Company and just listening to the stories and like all these great actors. And I was newly married, so I was like on a bit of hell because I had just married.
Yeah, and then you got to go to a different country.
Yeah, and then we were separated, and I was like, But it was, I think, and the writing, I don't know if it got worse or I don't know what happened. I really don't know.
It's soapy. It was like soapy. A little more adventure, and then it got a little more like, not like Dallas, but it got a little more like nighttime soapy as it went on, if I remember correctly. Yeah.
I know it's fascinating watching shows how they
evolve.
Yeah, like I love Baskets right now. Do you watch it?
Yeah.
And they're at one point I think they're like, we cannot make Louis Anderson have too many sad things, so we're giving her a boyfriend. Her friend's going to be nice to her once, and now they've warmed it up. So I don't know if they planned that, but it's interesting to see a show how they evolve. Like it's brutal for everybody, and then this one night thing.
We like these people now.
Yeah.
I always wonder how much of it's sort of organic, how much of it is sort of a Trojan horse. Like one of the examples I always use is there was a show, The Famous Teddy Z, with John Cryer, and it was I'm forgetting the guy's name. It was a guy that worked on WKRP.
Oh, right.
Created it. Hugh Wilson, who just died recently. And he wanted to make a show about old guys who were Hollywood agents, and so we had Alex Rocco.
Yeah.
And obviously a network's not going to greenlight that show in 1990. You're like, I want a show about 60-year-old guys that work at a CAA type place.
Oh, that's funny.
So the show, when it started, was John Cryer was a mailroom boy who inadvertently becomes the manager of like a Marlon Brando type guy because he has to drive him once and the guy's a real dick, so he punches him and he's like, you're my manager now.
Right.
And that happens in the pilot. And by episode 3, Cryer's like almost not in it at all, and it's the show about these old guys.
Right.
And I'm like, that's someone who knew what they were doing to like Trojan that into the.
Right.
But then
that's interesting. Yeah.
Some of it too, they're just like, oh, we don't like this, change everything.
Right.
Which is, you can kind of tell when it's not organic, I think.
Yeah.
And then you have shows like Newhart, which is one of my favorites, that just, I have a theory that any show that goes on for more than 5 seasons automatically gets bizarre.
Right.
Because they're just like, we did everything. Let's just get weird now.
Yeah.
Get weirder and weirder,
Right.
or more kid-like. Like a lot of sitcoms will like aim at younger audiences.
Right. They'll add, there's twins now. Someone has twins, or
I always joke, it's more for cartoons, but I'm always like, once they start a band or go into space, that's the last season.
Oh, that's
because
so
they've
funny.
run out of everything else.
Oh, that's funny.
So what was the first thing you wrote down in there?
I wrote Saturday. Well, I wrote Electric Company, Sesame Street,
Nice.
my Kingdom for Love, the abdication. How do you say that? Of the Edward and.
Oh yeah.
I
So
mean,
you're
I didn't.
watching, like, the
I
educational
didn't
stuff.
watch. Oh yeah, are these all educational?
They're mostly PBS?
in like Flint.
Oh,
I wrote.
love In Like Flint.
I didn't see that back then, but I saw it later because that was one of those sort of like, not ironically watching, but like, oh, you have to see James Coburn is so cool and all these. It was great.
That's the movie that people was one of probably the biggest influences on Austin Powers.
Yeah.
People that don't know it.
I got really inspired and I started writing a script about like a woman who was like this, who sort of like could meditate on command and if I was ambitious enough, that would have been really cool to have like the female version.
Like set in the 60s, like almost like an Emma Peel.
Yeah, and this was in the 90s when I saw that movie and I started writing it. And maybe it can still be a good idea.
I would watch that.
Yeah.
There's also, what were the Dean Martin was also in like these 2 sort of spy movies that were comedies around the same time, and I can't remember the name now. It was like the guy's name, but it was almost like In Like Flint, but with Dean Martin.
Yeah.
And they were just ridiculous.
Yeah.
It was just like, I don't know what's supposed to be funny in this.
Yeah.
I know some of it is.
Right.
But
it's just the whole atmosphere.
It's great. And there's 2 In Like Flint movies. They were on TV all the time.
Yeah. I was kind of amazed at how many amazing movies were on TV.
It was a great education. 77 were pre-VHS, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the only way you saw old movies.
Yeah.
You were just kind of, again, stumble on stuff.
Yeah.
Like you might see a movie from 1960 and you're like, oh, wow, this is great.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love that movie. And I was also a huge PBS kid, and I would watch Electric Company and Sesame Street like every day, Mr. Rogers.
Yeah.
Electric Company, my mom used to do daycare, like watch other kids when I was growing up. And this one kid, I don't know why this was, but his mother was like, the only thing is he can't watch Electric Company because he freaks out.
Why?
For some reason, Electric Company like terrified this kid.
Well, there was a lot of weird, I wonder if it's like that for kids now, probably, but I just remember sometimes weird things felt weird. Like even certain kids' houses you would go to, like you're like, this is a weird house. Even and
It would always be the smell.
some weird, the smell
like,
or
smell right?
something was going on with something, the parents or something. But I think there were certain movies in the 70s, of course, that were just so weird that they weren't scary movies, but the weirdness was freaked you out. And I could see Electric, grooviness can be, hippiness, grooviness can be kind of feel like not safe.
That's actually a good point. Like I always, not a horror movie, and one of the movies that scared me the most as a kid was Phantom of the Paradise.
Oh yeah,
because
my brother's favorite movie.
Is it really?
I haven't
It's such
seen
a cool
all of it.
movie.
Yeah, he even like talks to Brian De Palma sometimes, like we should do that again, and I'm like and then it never happens.
That movie, I'm like, that movie should have been what Rocky Horror was.
Yeah,
because it's a much better movie.
Right.
But I remember catching that on TV as a kid, and it's so 70s. And
yeah.
weird. Paul Williams really scared me.
Oh yeah.
I don't know why.
He's a good guy. Yeah, I know. Well, yeah.
It was like even
totally.
Bugsy Malone scared me.
Oh yeah. There's an atmosphere. I don't know what it is. I mean, you could see why people loved, Leave It to Beaver and all these kind of the safety of order and things happening at the same time and having dinner at the same time and this type of thing. And the whole 60s, 70s thing was, it's way more
chaotic. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that actually, I never really thought about that. Like, that's because, like, laughing always, I was like, like, something about it was just, I was so adverse to it.
Yeah.
And then there's the stuff that was, like, not intended to be terrifying for kids, that were, like, stuff like Watch Her in the Woods or Watership Down. These things that they'd show us, and you're like, what are you showing this to us?
Yeah.
This is horrifying.
Yeah.
Which would just be on TV.
Yeah.
Anything else you had on Saturday night?
That's it.
Were there any shows that were like Ione's show, like your brother's making a lot of the stuff where you're like, this is my one show in the week?
Yeah, well, it was really, I mean, like so many people, it was, the Love Boat Fantasy Island duo, and then the, Laverne and Shirley, first Happy Days Laverne and Shirley.
Yep. So the Gary Marshall night, and then
Gary Marshall night, and then the I don't know who night. But yes, that was it. And then there were so many cartoons that I just adored. I
love the Love Boat. I always watched because I felt like it was a good value for money. Like you're getting like 4 shows.
Right.
The tones would be so different.
Fantasy Island scared me, and it was a bit late for my age, but it definitely scared me. But I was like, it was one of those shows, kind of like the assassination of Gianni Versace, where it's like, ugh. But I can't stop watching.
Yeah.
It's so good, but it's like Fantasy Island. Like, this doesn't make me feel good, but I can't not watch it.
Mr. Rourke terrified me. I was convinced he was the devil, even though they had him fight the actual devil in one episode that was played by Roddy McDowall.
Oh, I worked in this, one of his last jobs.
With Roddy McDowall? Mm-hmm. He's one of those guys that fascinates me because he was just part of so much stuff. Have you seen, you may or may not have seen this, the Hollywood Museum has his bathroom.
Oh, really?
Because I guess that's where he kept all his
photos.
Memorabilia.
There's a lot of stars that were, celebrities love celebrities.
Yeah.
Almost as much as probably as much, like Debbie Reynolds, big collector, and Roddy McDowall took all the pictures, and,
They have his whole bathroom with all his pictures. And the toilet, and they just lifted the bathroom and put it in this museum. It's really bizarre. Uh-huh. What was the thing you worked on?
So Shelley Duvall had a show after Fairy Tale Theater.
Was it Tall Tales?
It was like it was like the scarier ones. And I did one with Meg Tilly and Roddy McDowall. It was a Camilla. It was a lesbian vampire thing in the Civil War era. And it was great. And, it was fun to do.
You're the kind of person that would like to, like, when you work with someone like that, you're like, I got to hear some stories. Or like,
she was just separating from, Shelley Duvall, I didn't even get, Popeye and what else? Well, everything.
Shining.
And then later Three Women and all these, she's amazing. But, Meg Tilly, I love. She was such a big star, and this was sort of. But she was divorcing Colin Firth. Is that his name? Colin Firth. Yeah. So she was like teary a lot.
Who was in the original Fever Pitch from '85?
Yeah, that's right. And Valbon.
Yeah,
the other Dangerous Liaisons.
Yeah, after Big Chill, she was like, Meg Tilly's gonna be the biggest thing.
And then her sister is so funny. Started working a lot.
Yeah,
but she was like this one of those beautiful sort of, maybe she was fragile because she was going through a lot.
Right.
But she was somebody that sometimes I see women and I get this weird man inside of me who's like, I want to take care of you. Or maybe it's a mother or something. I'm like, what can I do? Like, let me just be your geisha and take care of you.
But that's
I worship you. Yeah.
That's kind of the thing people cast them for too. Like,
who else? Nastasia Kinski. Like, there's certain actresses who have this strength and then this like fragility.
Yeah, cat people also terrified me.
Right. I know. I feel like I saw bits and pieces of so many things, but I don't know if I watched from beginning to end.
Not a great movie, but there's some interesting stuff in there. Malcolm McDowell, terrifying as always.
Remember, what was the time travel movie?
Time After Time.
Messed me up.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Jack the Ripper, firstly, that movie deeply scarred me in a way for some reason, but I loved it.
David Warner's terrifying. Like, he's such a good villain, and he has that voice.
Brilliant.
we ran into him at a comic book store in London randomly.
Oh, wow.
And he's really tall. Like, he's very large, which you always is surprising when you meet an actor because most of them are really small.
Yeah.
And he's just like a really big guy.
Wow.
He has that voice. He was very nice.
Oh, that's
but
good.
I was like, it's David Warner. He's terrifying.
Oh, my God.
It's Jack the Ripper. What were the cartoons that you loved?
Well, I loved, one was called Hercules. One, Wait Till Your Father Gets Home.
Yeah.
I don't, it was, and
It was Norman Lear's show, Wait Till Your Father
Oh,
Gets
really?
Home. It was,
I remember the music. Wait till your father gets, until your father. Bugs Bunny, of course. And I had like a fetish for the beautiful cats with their little long nails and the chocolates, like those ones from like Pepe Le Pew.
Oh, yeah,
and,
yeah.
You know, I loved certain, you know, characters and, just I guess the classics. The Flintstones, but I felt the Flintstones made me a little anxious because it was like always like, I love the Flintstones, but Barney and I don't know, I feel like they got into trouble. Like they always got into trouble and I just was like, there was a little bit of like them getting into trouble. I don't know.
Fred
I guess
was angry all the time.
Yeah, there's something like bad, I don't know. Whereas I think all cartoons, aren't they always getting into trouble?
Yeah, I think that one, because it was so based on the Honeymooners, and I loved Jackie Gleason, but was also kind of terrified of him because you felt like he might just start punching people.
Yeah.
And I got the same thing from
maybe
Fred
that's
Flintstone,
what it was.
I was like, "Ah."
Yeah, well, no. What else? Yeah, I mean, I loved. What else was on? What Warner
Yeah,
Brothers,
the Warner ones were great because that's what we were talking about earlier before I think we even started recording was how you, when we were growing up, you got this education of show business way before you were around.
Yeah.
And Looney Tunes, the two things people always said is Looney Tunes and Mad Magazine.
Yeah.
Because Looney Tunes, they're, I wouldn't know who Jimmy Cagney was or like these people that they're parodying.
the mobsters, the like, it's curtains for you.
Yeah. Like there's no way you would know that.
And I didn't know, I always thought maybe they did make a movie about the writers.
Yeah.
I always feel like they should do some sort of cool movie with those writers, like some sort of hip period piece about the
There's a cool documentary about Chuck Jones.
Oh,
that's very good.
I'll see that. I love a good documentary.
And just he did, he after he left Warner, he did like The Grinch and all that kind of stuff too. He was very good friends with Joe Dante.
Oh, right.
And he shows up in Gremlins randomly. He's at the bar. And, was just a really interesting guy. Those guys always fascinate me because a lot of them were from other worlds first because they were it was like no one had made cartoons and so they had like worked in advertising and then moved there or were like a radio guy and they were doing it for the first time and like
how about the speaking of like the first cartoons, like the black and white, those are really weird. I mean, not just, I feel like there's a lot of sexual ones that I don't know how I watch or if I should have been watching them, but then there's just certain cartoons. I mean, I'm sure that they, I know movies had censorship, but I feel like I'm not talking about just sex ones, but like in the black and white, like so weird and
the old Betty
violent and just weird.
Yeah, they're terrifying in a lot of ways because it's like everything talks and there's like really violently weird. Yeah.
Trippy.
Yeah.
And people weren't on acid, but it was like they just,
I imagine. It was pre-acid. They were just like
those were strange. Those old ones.
The old Felix the Cats are some of my favorites because they're just so weird.
I love Felix the Cat.
There's a famous Felix the Cat like statue in LA that's on top of like a
built.
Yeah, I always see it when I'm driving on like the 405 or something. Yeah. And that was the first time I came. I'm like, Felix the Cat statue. I like it here because there was always that Bullwinkle too that was on Sunset because Jay Ward had like a store and I guess until the 90s when he died, you could just go and he'd just be in there.
Oh, really?
You just go and talk to Jay Ward and he'll sell you a Bullwinkle mug.
Oh, wow.
Like whatever. And you're like, wow, it's Jay Ward. This is a really subversive, weird thing. For Love Boat that night, this is a pretty big one here. We have some amazing guest stars on this one.
Okay.
Story number 1. Barbs fly when a divorced couple played by Loretta Swift and Robert Reed run into each other. Story number 2, first love blossoms between precocious Moppets Christy McNichol and Scott Baio.
Oh.
And 3, Julie's attempts to romance a hip young senior citizen's guide are scuttled by his sprightly geriatric crew.
Whoa.
Richard Mulligan's in this one. That's a blockbuster love boat.
She gets dissed by the older man.
Yeah.
That's sad.
Who I imagine was Richard Mulligan in this, who was huge coming off of Soap at the same time.
Soap.
Soap I've tried to rewatch, and I just...
Really? I didn't watch it when it came out, but I think maybe there were reruns and I saw some of one and I was like, wow, how did I miss this amazing show? But I didn't really watch lately or...
Comedy Central re-aired it in the 90s, and they made a big deal out of it.
Maybe. And so wait, the big actor who it's what's his name?
Robert Guillaume was on it. Richard Mulligan, Billy Crystal.
Billy Crystal, that's him.
Yeah, Billy Crystal was the gay son.
Yeah. I'm thinking it's reminding me of the Switch. The what's the one Bosom Buddies?
With Tom Hanks and
The Greatest
Peter Scolari.
American Hero.
I had Julia Duffy on, who was on Newhart with Peter Scolari,
wow.
and she told me that when they hired Peter Scolari, because he came on like season 3 or something, they were doing the first table read, and Bob Newhart, as a joke, turned to the producer, and so everyone could hear her go, I wanted the other guy from Bosom Buddies. And Peter Scolari was like, oh no, and he's like, no, I'm just messing with you.
Oh no.
That would be the worst way to start.
Brutal. I have in my mind, I'm like, what was it like to be on filming those shows? I could sort of imagine, like, well, Mary Tyler Moore and Bob Newhart and all these shows that were just so well written and the geniuses. But the ones... Yeah, the ones I'm like, I fantasize about are the more, I don't know, those more like the ones that weren't so good that I just feel, I'm trying to think of one. It just, in my mind, it was so dreamy. Oh, I guess it's all the like, the Brady Bunches and all of those shows that because they're a lighter quality, you imagine the filmmaking just behind the scenes had a lighter quality, whereas it didn't.
Yeah, I'm sure
it's like
worse.
Like the facade, whereas like an intelligent show. I mean, not to not to say
there's
it's not.
There's a big difference between Newhart and the
Brady Bunch, like Newhart, you just sort of think, well, behind the scenes, it was just like really working hard people who had real lives, but those shows that sort of had an unreal world, you're like, and behind the scenes must have been like that too.
Partridge Family was probably a great time.
No one really had a problem.
Have you ever done like a 3-camera sitcom or anything?
No, I mean, I recently shadowed John Cryer, actually, who he directed Disjointed, that TV show, and I've been shadowing. I was looking lately into directing, which I'm still looking into. And
you've done some shorts, right?
I've done shorts, and right now I'm raising money for one right now. But so that was wild, the Chuck Lorre show, and I've never acted in one, so I was just like, I felt like I shadowed on a couple other shows, and afterwards I was like, yeah, I did learn something. On the live one, I was like, I don't think I know any more of how John Cryer just did his job, but that was, to me, it still was like moving cameras and, and that it was great. I mean, the schedule for an actor is more civilized, like that week of doing those shows, but it was wild. It's
a different world, and it's funny. Like when I have friends who are writers on their shows, and we've gone to tapings, and they're like, I'm like, it's a 20-minute show. You're there for like 7 hours that night, and they're pulling lines in and out.
Oh I just ended up hanging with all the writers. Well, on all the shadowing, I'm like, I guess I love writers, because I'm just like not even paying attention to what the director's doing practically. Like, don't you want to watch what the director? I'm like, oh right, and I'm just sitting with the writers, like, oh yeah.
But it's more like I guess not more technical, but I feel like on those 3-camera shows, the director, it's more of like a almost like a militaristic, like tactical thing, instead of like.
That's why I kind of can't. I'm sort of more, I guess, auteurish. I guess so sort of if it's coming from me, then I know what to do. Like I feel like if someone said direct this, I could, do a film and do a TV show, but like, this kind of live show, I honestly sort of couldn't quite comprehend, even though I took a million notes. And I was watching John Cryer from the beginning to he told me, what did you do the first time you got the script? When did you get to the set? Like, how much of the set did you take in? And like, he was sort of like, to him, he knows how to do it. So
he's done thousands of hours.
And he was directed too. So and he acted so, and he was so good, because it's smart to hire him for a comedy, because he knows how to do that. So he could help the actors. But yes, you're not like the main dude.
And they have a very specific
Or
rhythm
woman.
too, or woman, yeah. I guess a woman could be a dude, but it has that very specific rhythm too that you kind of have to lock into. Whereas if you're doing like a film or like a single camera, you can kind of mold it into your rhythm a little more.
Yeah, and it was interesting. They got some UCB comedians on there. I'm forgetting their names. Genius comedians, and it was cool to see them go from what they did.
Right.
You know, when they to do their comedy and then on the live show but they were just allowed to kind of improvise. I think they were given more, you know.
And some of that they'll just like do it for the audience. Like they're like, we know this joke's not going to be in the show, but we need to like keep these people awake.
Yeah, exactly.
So we just put this thing out. Last year we were here and our friend was writing for that show, The Great Indoors with Stephen Fry. And it was kind of amazing because we went to the taping and it was the night Mary Tyler Moore died.
Oh my
and
gosh,
we were wandering around and we discovered we were in the Mary Tyler Moore studio.
Oh, wow.
Where they shot the show.
Yeah.
And it had a little plaque and it was really cool. I was like, oh, this is very strange. This is where they shot it. I love that stuff.
Because you really, on that show, you see the stage pretty, like you feel like you can see, whereas other shows,
like
you know,
play.
it's like a play. And I feel like you almost feel like you see the camera sometimes, but you don't.
But it doesn't take you out of it at all.
No.
Like Barney Miller's one of my favorite comedies.
Yeah.
And that show is...
What's the theme for Barney Miller?
It's like boom,
oh, yeah.
boom.
Oh, my God.
It's so good.
I mean, some of those themes, that, and also I have such a peaceful memory of my mom going out. My brother was just old enough to watch me. We're in her bed. Taxi is just coming on.
Just so melancholy.
And I'm like falling asleep to the theme of Taxi, and my brother's still up. And it's like, could there be a better feeling than that? Like just like
such a cozy, safe, like, oh, this is so nice.
I just was like, and boom, 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 boom.
But they after the third or fourth episode, Danny Arnold, who created that show, made a deal with the studio that he wouldn't have an audience anymore.
Oh, he was just not into it.
He was like,
this is weird.
He's like, I hate it.
Yeah.
And so they would make the episode and then show it to an audience to get the laugh track.
Oh, okay.
But he was the only guy that they allowed to do that. And they were like, you're crazy. Like, no one can do that. And I'm like, oh, that
Why am I
makes sense.
forgetting? I'm thinking of Chico and the Man. Barney Miller was in the police station.
Yeah, with Hal Linden.
That's right.
It was,
and
every episode was basically one room.
Yeah.
Steve Lattisberg and Jack
I used to watch. It's
yeah.
funny. I watched that a lot, and I can't remember. I can remember. I just have an image of them walking around talking, and I don't know if I even understood anything, but I just watched it.
That's pretty much every episode.
Oh, okay. But I kept my attention, even though I was like, I don't know what's happening.
Oh, yeah. When I was a kid, I was like, this is way too old for me.
Yeah.
But as an adult, I'm like, this is great. Like,
right. I should rewatch.
Whenever people are like, oh, what would be a good show to watch to like learn how to write a TV comedy? I'm like, Car 54, are you?
Oh, okay.
And Barney Miller. Like, those are the two shows where it's all dialogue in Barney Miller. Like, there's nothing crazy. I don't know if this is a true quote, but somewhere said cops always would say that Barney Miller was their favorite cop show because it's the most accurate.
Oh, okay.
Because it's mostly guys doing paperwork.
Yeah.
It's just like,
I know, it's funny when you do, if you've done medical stuff, it's like you think, get the scalpel, quick. And it's like if you're, in real life, it wouldn't be, I mean, sure, sometimes it's probably heightened, your voice is heightened, but in reality, it's probably very,
Yeah, you're at work.
You're working, and sure, things, mean a lot, but you wouldn't be like shouting and
every 5 minutes.
Crazed about.
No one would keep that job.
Yeah,
heart attacks. What were we, Sunday night? Did you pick anything?
Sunday, I have Davy and Goliath.
Excellent.
And then, Murder on the Orient Express was one of the movies. But yeah, Davy and Goliath.
Davy and Goliath is, that's what we were talking about before, one of those things that was, weirdly scary.
Yeah.
But I watched it all the time. Yeah. And the God stuff always freaked me out.
Oh, yeah. What would Jesus do, Davy? Jesus wouldn't do that, Davy.
Because it would come out of nowhere.
Yeah, just like everything's going along, Jesus wouldn't do that, Davy.
God's like that, Davy.
Yeah.
And their arms are too long. That always freaked me out as a kid. I was like, they just start talking about God from out of nowhere, and their arms are too long, but I watch it every Sunday.
But claymation, I'm in.
Yeah, and I love Gumby. I was
any claymation, I'm watching you.
Yeah.
Mr. Bill, all of it.
Claymation.
Mr.
Bill was huge.
I'll watch you.
Mr. Bill was amazing because people forget, I think, of the shorts on SNL, but that was a guy sent that in. He was doing them from somewhere in the Midwest. He was just some guy making these things.
Right.
And it was almost like a YouTube video.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, we'll put that on our network every week.
Yeah. I wonder if everyone, Lauren Michaels, it's like he just has that touch. He just knows.
It was interesting. I had Penelope Spheris on, and she produced all of the Albert Brooks shorts for the first season of SNL.
Oh, really?
And she said that Lauren called her and said, I have this guy, he's brilliant, he doesn't know how to make films, so you just teach him how to do it. You do it, and he'll do the content.
Oh,
so she directed and produced all those Brooks shorts in his first couple movies.
Wow.
But it was such a weird thing.
She's so cool.
Oh, yeah.
I'm trying to remember, right now it's so like women directors, and where are they? And it's like she was one of the first, and she I'm trying to watch. She did the Decline and Fall, but I was trying to watch, find them like on iTunes. They should put maybe they are.
She just got the rights back to all three, and Shout Factory.
I want to see the heavy metal one.
That's hilarious. You've never seen it at all? I
don't think so, because it's so funny. I say because I wasn't punk or into punk, but I was there was that there's heavy metal and the punk people or the new wave people and
very different.
But when I watched, there was like a documentary on the Sunset Strip about like the heavy metal girlfriends, whatever. And I'm not going to like this documentary. Any heavy metal documentary, I love. It's so funny because I like the 4 heavy metal songs that are the crossover songs, probably, you know. But
well, then what was it? Slayer did the whole soundtrack almost for River's Edge.
Yeah, so cool. So I feel like I'm secretly more into heavy metal than I think.
I've come around to it as an adult, because I was also like a punk rock kid, and I was like in a punk rock band, and then I'm like, Van Halen's kind of awesome.
Yeah.
I'm like, what's happening?
I know. I was friends with the Zappas, and they were really into heavy metal. I was like, what do they see in this?
Yeah.
But I was like crushing on Dweezil at the time. Like, I'm going to try.
Yeah, I will try to
Was
there another time that he had the show, he had a sitcom with Moon where they were basically playing themselves called A New Life or something. There was like a 3-camera sitcom where they played a famous rock star's kids, and they were trying to be like normal people.
Oh my gosh, when was that?
I want to say like between 89 and 91-ish, somewhere around there.
Maybe that was just because I kind of lived at they would have people sort of basically live at that. Like I was sort of living there for a little while, but it was like more in the late 80s.
Okay, so this
and then Moon and I had a little falling out, and then maybe that's when that was happening.
Yeah, it was on for one season, and it was really
I think
strange.
It rings a bell. Yeah, they've had interesting little bits and
because it's very sitcom-y, but it's kind of like a you wouldn't think that they do like a sitcom.
I mean, Ahmed's the most commercial, but based mainly any Zappa thing is gonna have a funny, cool, like totally subversive quality to it. But Ahmed's the one who's sort of like, I can do the normal thing.
I think, what is it, 200 Hotels, the Zappa movie?
Yeah.
That's a movie I saw on TV one night as a kid and was like, what just happened?
I saw Uncle meet with Frank Zappa.
Wow.
In his downstairs studio room at their house, and that was so cool. And I was so happy anytime I was hanging out with him, and because it was, even for them, it was sort of far and few between. He was a bit nocturnal, and he was around, but he was sort of... And I was like, I just tapped into an absurdity just to like start laughing because I just wanted him to know I liked his stuff, and
Well, he always had that sense of humor through everything.
Yeah, I mean, truly, like I so admire him, but I still haven't quite. I admire him and I adore his whole thing, but I've never like understood it. Basically,
it's like how like jazz to me, where people are like, oh, this, and I'm like. I get that there's something there, and you're really into this. I can't see it.
Yeah, there's a moment. I got into dub reggae, and I first couldn't get it, but then it clicked where I was like, dub, I got it.
It makes sense now. It's always weird when on the second season of the Monkees, where they could do whatever they wanted.
Oh, Monkees, that's another one.
I love the Monkees, but they would have extra time, and they could just bring artists on.
Right.
They had Tim Buckley come on and play a song, and Frank Zappa comes on and plays a song.
Yeah.
And he was like, it was from like 66.
Oh, so they really helped bring him out.
Yeah, so they were like, hey,
he was so confident. It was crazy how confident he was.
Just some of those people that have no self-doubt.
On these shows, like what was he? Not the Ed Sullivan. He was like playing a bicycle.
Oh yeah. Well,
Like, it's
when he-
such a young age, and just like one of those really nerdy in a weird way, nerdy confidence of just like, I'm going to do this and I don't care if I'm such a people pleaser.
Right.
I'm like, what do you want me to dress like? I mean, not anymore, but I want to please everyone.
Yeah.
He was just like, I'm going to do this because I'm into it.
You wouldn't get an idea in your head and go, I would like to do a doo-wop song where I play a bicycle.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, are you sure? No, I'm sure. That's what I'm doing.
You sure you want to
No
go with the
question.
bicycle?
I'm doing it.
Playing the bicycle. Okay.
Yeah, so you got Poirot here with
Okay.
Murder on the Orient Express. And then what do we got? Monday night?
I've got All in the Family, Candid Camera.
Candid Camera would make me nervous.
Yeah, I feel I was sort of trying to remember. I know I watched that a little bit. I don't like April Fool's jokes. I don't like
either.
any. I can't. I'm not into holding a joke for like that kind of
Practical jokes are not my
practical
thing.
jokes. Like my littlest kid loves like one of those shows where you do pranks or something with little kids, and I'm just like, can we fast forward? Can we fast forward to when it's all okay?
Yeah, when they tell everyone it's just a joke because this is far too cruel. A kid I went to high school with created that show Scare Tactics. Did you ever see that?
Oh no, I feel like I heard
It was
or maybe I just know the
basically-
expression.
Shannon Doherty hosted it for a while, and then Tracy Morgan took over for her, which was weird.
Huh.
But it was basically if someone was like, let's do Candid Camera, but really mean, and so that people think they're going to die.
Oh my God.
So it was
I don't think that should be legal.
No! My wife gets so mad.
Oh
'cause it
yeah,
was-
this is that show that Goldie watches. They like scare babysitters thinking there's a real ghost or
Yes,
whatever.
yeah.
And I'm like, this should not. It should be like, when animal cruelty, they stopped doing that,
Yeah.
or kids couldn't work like a million hours. They shouldn't scare people.
Because, like, if it's just a joke where the person's like, it's a ridiculous, silly situation.
Yeah.
Whereas they're like, this person really thinks a zombie is in their house and is going to murder them.
I don't like that.
Yeah, it's not the nicest thing. I do like, Michael Carbonaro has a show and he's a magician. And they'll be, like, really kind of just, like a lot of them are, he'll be working at a store and demonstrating a product that's just not real, because it'll be like, oh yeah, no, this is a box, and it'll be like a cereal box, and he'll pull like an entire Thanksgiving dinner out of it,
right? Like
a whole turkey, and people are like, what is this? He's like, oh yeah, it's
not
new.
a YouTuber.
It's on True TV.
Because I'm thinking there's one that my daughter loves, this comedian who does fake things, but he's really brilliant.
Oh
What's his
yes,
name?
he did. It's not Adam. He did a thing where like that Starbucks and like he does like big
the fake
conceptual jokes.
Yes, and that's kind of amazing. He's really good.
That stuff I like because that's clever,
very clever,
and interesting.
Yeah.
Whereas the stuff where it's just like very Japanese game show.
Let me terrify you, and you're supposed to laugh.
Or they're like those bad shock jock morning shows where they do the prank calls and they'll be like, "Oh, this is the hospital. Your wife's dead." And
I mean,
like, no, they're like, "We're just kidding. We got you." It's like that's not really a joke.
I mean,
I hate April Fools too. That's always the worst. People are just like, "I want to be an asshole," and then you'll April Fools, and it's fine.
Yeah.
It's like that's not how a joke works. And is that everything yet on Monday?
I think, that's everything on Monday.
Did pass up the San Pedro Beach Bums.
What is that?
It was a show that was on very short-lived. Stuart Penkin was on it, and Dee Wallace. It was one of the first things she did, and it was like I guess it would be like if the Monkees weren't in a band. It's like some guys live in a house and they're just beach bums.
Right.
And it was one of those shows that like comedy shows would use as a punchline for a long time after, as like an example of like a failed show. But it's actually not that bad.
Right.
It's kind of a fun show. Tuesday, what'd you go with?
Tuesday, my writing is so bad, so I had Chico and the Man, or maybe it was All in the Family as well. But,
Was All in the Family, did you ever have like an awkward time watching those shows with like your mom or brother? Because they would get heavy sometimes.
All in the Family was so heavy, but kind of, I think I like just the opening is so brilliant with them on the piano. And my grandparents I was so close to my grandparents. And my grandfather was the polar opposite because he was super duper liberal minded. But
probably more like Carol O'Connor in real life.
Yeah, but just that piano playing of them singing, and just also I think it just really reminded me of my grandparents and that they were like New York Jews who just all their friends were like that.
It's
that
very
version
specific.
of them,
It's a very specific generation.
Yeah, and just like it is so great. I mean, now they do it, but they do it more with different, The Office, where you have like a horrible character, but that's very comedic. But having his character being this, racist and all of this stuff is great. It was so amazing, and
to make him so multidimensional too, though.
Yeah.
Whenever they show retrospective clips, it's always like him spouting something, and when you watch the show, he's a full character.
Yeah.
And you kind of get where he's coming from. Like, you're like, I understand this guy. And you don't hate him.
Yeah.
And that's so hard to pull off. And I think part of that's also Carol O'Connor was just great.
Oh my God. Archie?
Yeah.
and I knew he was like a curmudgeon, but when I was a kid, I didn't really, except if it was like overtly, I guess, him being mad at the actor who was the black actor who was the neighbor, who I should know everyone's names. But
Sherman Helmsley.
That's
the
maybe, yes, that's right. And so that, I guess I knew there was some tension there, but I never knew, I knew he was just like annoyed at his kid. And anyway, it was just, I guess I just liked they reminded me of my grandparents in their apartment and that whole thing.
Well, it kind of has that, like, that very East Coasty, like, everyone's kind of busting each other.
Yeah,
and they're just kind of like, we all love each other, but we all give each other crap. And it's kind of like
exactly.
That sort of real working class.
But it's not a feel-good show.
No, it's a working class struggle show.
Yeah.
Which we never see now.
Yeah.
And I always loved. And all those Norman Lear shows were
what
pretty
else did
grim.
Norman Lear do?
Good Times, which was like a Brady Green. I mean, that was Good Times. Also Jefferson's. What's Happening? Different Strokes.
Yeah, What's Happening? That was with Dee, and that one once she got abused was so heavy.
Oh God, yeah. Or the All in the Family.
There's always those ones that are like, whoa.
Yeah,
she got burnt or something with an iron. Oy.
You tune in to watch a sitcom and you're like, what
got
happened
abused.
here?
Yeah, it was just really intense.
There's one, it wasn't even an All in the Family, it was an Archie Bunker's place, but there's a scene where Edith has died and Archie comes in and he sits down in his chair and he's kind of like not affected by it.
And then he starts crying.
He finds her slipper under the
totally.
chair. And it's one of the most moving, like just brutal moments in a show ever. And you don't expect it at all.
Yeah.
And it's so good, but I can't ever watch it.
I know. That's why the Brady Bunch is so nice, because like the worst that happens is, I don't know.
Bobby's voice breaks.
Yeah.
Marcia's hair turns green.
Yeah. And they they don't win the like Guinness Book of World Record hula hoop contest.
I do miss that a little bit now. Like all the Disney
shows are sort of like everyone complains, they're so dumb and da da da. But the reason why people like them is it's this world,
it's a pop song.
It's like the 8-year-old doesn't like heavy, dark. She's like weirdly paranoid which I want to work on because life's hard. Like she's like, is it sad? Is it sad? Is it going to be, like she wants just, I'm like, puppies. It's okay. Like sometimes things are sad. But I think, like I was thinking in my mind, like, would Disney, do they want to rebrand? Like, right. And it's like, no, they don't want to rebrand. I mean, although this is their thing. Like
Bambi, Dumbo, like
those were so
brutal.
Yeah, they've become less, now the shows are more like at least those TV shows are less heavy.
Like That's So Raven, or like, I don't know, it's 10 years ago now.
Yeah.
But it's funny how that sort of family 3-camera sitcom has moved to tweens.
Yeah.
That format is almost exclusively now like those teenage or 10-year-old girls shows.
Yeah.
And they're on Disney and Nickelodeon, and that's how they do that now.
Yeah.
But there's something to be said for that, where you're like, everything's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Whenever everyone's like, oh, we're in the golden age of television, I'm like, but there's so many of those shows, like, I don't want to sit down and binge watch Breaking Bad. Like, I just feel awful. Like, it's very good.
I don't want to see people doing Speed.
Yeah. Like, you don't want to go to the opera every week.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just want to sit and see something that's like, oh.
It's so true.
It's like, yes, you've made a very good show. Like you wouldn't watch River's Edge all the time. Like that.
No.
I don't think people watch that movie to like just chill out.
No.
But that's the level, like some of the shows now, like that, it's that level of kind of real heavy stuff.
Yeah, I know. Whenever, I want to watch like It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia or something, which is like bad people doing bad things, but
there's no stakes.
Everything's okay.
Yeah, like Seinfeld was. It was like all these people are terrible people.
Yeah, talk about cozy. You want to watch something cozy where everything's going to be okay.
Do you have a comfort show like that, or like?
Well, Seinfeld would be probably, and Yeah, probably Seinfeld would be, and yeah, I'm trying to think, because it's funny, I do that sometimes if I'm feeling a little wobbly. I'm like, what makes me feel better?
Yeah. What can I just kind of veg out and watch?
Yeah.
Is there anything you watched as a kid that you've tried to show your kids and they're just like, no.
Everything. Like my little kid's doing like West Side Story, outside of school thing. Like we get to watch, like West Side Story is not a perfect movie, but like,
right.
I mean, I just want to watch her, show her some of it or play her. And it's the opposite. I don't know if it's only the mother, but when I try to give them a book or give them something I like, it doesn't happen. Occasionally with music, my older one will listen, but her, the father, for some reason, if it comes from him, they'll go for it a little bit more.
I wonder if it's because they're girls and it's like
maybe. But I can't, like, I should probably give someone else, like, make them watch this.
Just use him as
I
a door.
say it, they're not going
so
to.
There's nothing you show them where they'll be like, oh, I actually really like this.
What was we were watching Bob's Burgers, but then finally I was like, we can't show my 8-year-old Bob's Burgers anymore. Like, because actually when she was really little, it all went over her head.
Right.
But she got to be 8 and it was like, she can't watch this. Because now she's like, what's crack? Or what's,
Starts talking about butts all the time.
Yeah. It's like,
this is too much now.
Now you were going to ask me questions.
All Boston people, that show as well. It's like Eugene Merman is a guy that I started with doing comedy.
Really?
Yeah, it's funny.
Oh, yeah.
My friend Larry does Teddy's voice.
Oh, really?
Which is, he does a bunch of voices on the show. With that,
oh, my God. Teddy.
Yeah. And then they made him really sad.
Teddy is so lovable. Is he a nice? Because,
yeah, Larry's a nice guy.
Because Teddy is like, you just don't want anything. But he's one of those great characters that sees the silver lining. Like he will always be a sweet, and it's like, I was thinking about the why I love like Lisa Kudrow in The Comeback or, Louis Anderson, because bad things happen, but they always have a good attitude. So it's like, oh no, the worst things keep happening to them, but they always, like, Teddy's always like gonna love people.
We'll be okay. It's almost the positive thing.
Yeah, so you're like, okay.
Yeah. Larry's like the salt of the earth, like one of the funniest guys I've ever met.
So good.
He's just such a nice guy. Where are we? Tuesday? Anything?
Well, are we on Wednesday?
Are we on Wednesday?
Now we're on Wednesday, which I have Muppet Show and Happy Days, which we sort of talked about, but maybe not.
Muppet Show, Jim Henson is such a that man made the world such a better place for a whole generation of people. And I went to, in Queens, there's the Museum of the Moving Image, and they have a huge Jim Henson exhibit.
Oh, really?
And I was there doing some shows, and I'm like, oh, I'll go over and see this.
Yeah.
And I walked in and just like welled up.
Oh,
yeah. It was
too much.
Yeah.
Like I can't just,
like, that's really him.
Oh,
He's
my God.
there.
I know. It's like, it's just, it's like I've met Mick Jagger, which is amazing, but like thinking of the Muppet characters, I just like Miss Piggy and all, and Monster, all of them, like what they all, and
it's weird when there's stuff like that you don't. Like, there's some things where it could be like, oh, if I ever met that person, or like if I ever saw that thing, I'd probably be. Yeah, I'm like, I did not expect to be.
Yeah, and it's not even it's not even the person's behind the Muppet, and then someone created the Muppet, and then someone wrote for them, and the whole thing. But it's funny to,
it's a living character, and like Rolf, especially because that's the first one I saw, and he's like a very early Muppet, so the actual puppet, it just looks like a rug, it's like a carpet sample thing. But I'm like,
what instrument did he play? An instrument?
Ralph played piano.
That's right.
But it was such an amazing exhibit, and then there were also like Bowie's costume from Labyrinth, which was just really cool because I'm like, David Bowie was in that, and like Henson's notes, like his actual notes from things. And it was so weird, and the Muppet Show was just. I always like facetiously say that every episode of the Muppet Show is the same. It's someone tries to sing a song and a monster stops them.
Right.
But that's a really good thing.
Yeah.
And I'll always love the Muppets.
Yeah.
And post Henson Muppets, I just can't. It's so weird to see.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not...
Abby Cadabby, or you mean the ones on Sesame Street, like, or the ones
just
on...
any of them after, like, when they made the movies, like, even, like, Muppet Treasure Island,
Oh,
and they
right,
or the new Muppet ones, it's really weird to see, because I'm like, it's not...
I know.
Something's wrong here.
I know. It's like when, didn't Bugs Bunny change its voice for a while?
Yeah, after Mel Blanc died.
And then it was like, no, what is this?
His son tried to do it, and then they fired him and hired Billy West, who's another Boston guy, who did all the ones in Space
Feel bad
Jam.
for his son. Oh, okay.
Yeah, he did all the voices. But I felt bad for his son until I talked to Billy about it, and then I was like...
It wasn't meant to be.
Yeah, and his son also, I think, felt like pressure to do it, but probably didn't want to.
It's sort of like Sophia in Godfather 3. She's like, I didn't even want to do this.
But
like,
I kind of had to.
Yeah, I had to.
Yeah.
And so, sorry.
Look, my name is Frank Sinatra Jr., and so I have to go sing songs now. It's like you don't necessarily want to do it.
Yeah.
Also, one thing that's on Dick Clark's Good Old Days is on.
What is that?
This is really weird because 1977, and it's a nostalgia show for the 60s, 50s and 60s. So it's Frankie and Annette and all the beach party stuff.
Oh.
So it's that 20-year cycle of like nostalgia.
Like, right.
So they're looking back at
the 70s. The 70s really loved the 50s.
Yeah, it was always 20 years until now when it just fell off the rails. But it was like 80s was into the 60s, 90s was the 70s, 2000s was the 80s.
Right.
But the 70s were the first time that like nostalgia was invented.
Right.
Because no one was like, man, remember the 40s?
Right.
It's like the 50s were the first time people were like, that was great.
Yeah. Because then it was like the 60s was more, they went really back, like, let's go back to Renaissance.
Yeah.
Or, really sort of, medieval or whatever.
Pagan.
So it wasn't really.
We're like, man, the 30s were great.
Yeah, exactly.
So this is kind of cool, though, because it has, like, the Beach Boys are on it who had not come back by that. They were like kind of not a joke, but like by 1977, people were like, Beach Boys? Okay.
Right.
And Frankie and Annette are on it. It has Mort Saul, Robert Klein, Jerry Stiller and Ann Mira. The Shirelles are on it doing a song. Dion.
Oh, amazing.
Martha Reeves and the Vandells, Bo Diddley. It's just like this amazing group.
And why am I thinking of Shauna and Odd? That's a whole other thing.
Well, they had their own variety show at this time, too. It was on Sunday night.
Right.
And,
wow. So where was I? I feel like I missed a lot.
There was a lot going on.
The one thing I kept getting like, was, I'm sorry, but every time I was seeing Phil Donahue, I was like, no, and he was on so much when I was looking through that. Not that, I don't know much, I mean, I do know a little, I don't know much about, I know who he is, and I've seen his show a little bit. I don't know, I was just like,
it seems like not for kids. It's like,
that's probably why.
Some guy with white hair talking to people about something.
I thought he was later. I didn't realize he was like all over that 1977.
He was one of the first guys that did like a non-celebrity talk show. Because you had like Merv and Dinah Shore. Yeah. But he was the first guy who did like a national.
That's kind of amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's probably why it's on every single day of the week.
And then he married Marlo Thomas.
Oh, right. Nice.
That was interesting. Yeah, he was one of the first guys that did like that national, like, we're going to have a talk show and it's going to be talking
I'm sure he's
like
comforting. I don't know why I'm having like a bad association. Like I probably will remember some bad memory.
You know what
like,
it probably
my
was?
dog died on the day I was watching Phil Donahue.
When he came on, it meant cartoons were over.
Okay, because I have a kind of like, I kept getting like, man. Like, and I was like,
Phil's
why?
Time to
Did
stop.
he do something terrible? I don't think so.
No, I think there was like, because I always have that with like American Bandstand for a while, because on Saturday, when that came on, it was like, everything's over now and we're into this thing.
Yeah.
Maybe it might have been
like some albums you love so much, and when the last song comes on, you're like, no.
I like this song, but it makes me sad now.
Because the album's over, as if you can't start it again.
Phil Donahue's like the end of an album.
Okay, that's fine. Now I've cracked it.
But he doesn't get enough credit for like, or blame, depending on your viewpoint, for that revolution of those talk shows. Because then after him, we had Earl and Sally Jesse and Oprah, who was not a national thing. And then in the 90s, it went crazy when everybody
that format to kind of come up with it, that's kind of amazing. It's a whole...
They had call-ins, too, which was weird, because it was live.
Right.
I remember Marilyn Manson was on it once.
Right.
Like the end and they had call-ins, and these little ladies in the crowds who would get up and be like, I just want to know, what are you doing? Like, it was such a weird thing. Like,
call-ins, that's right.
So bizarre. People are calling in and asking questions to people who were abducted by aliens. Where are we? Thursday?
Thursday, Casper and Mary Tyler Moore.
Okay, fine combination.
Yeah, I was like, Thursday is very high quality.
Casper I always watched, but didn't really like that much.
Well, I think... Yeah, like I liked his, again, another like guy who bad things happen to, but he's okay. Yeah, it wasn't my favorite, but I definitely watched it. I mean, I guess it was always the same. It was like, no one believed him but that one kid. And then
his uncles would be real ghosts and try to get him in trouble. I think because I liked horror movies and ghosts and all that stuff. I was like, I want this to be more spooky.
Real. Yeah.
Can this
it
be
wasn't
scarier?
my favorite in the world, but there was sort of something about the look of it or his voice or the voices were like high pitch, and maybe I was little, so I was like, I like that tone of high pitched, like I don't know.
Have you ever done voiceover for cartoons?
No, I've tried. I mean, I've auditioned I've done, but I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think. I think I need to. I would have had to back when it was. Oh, I don't know. It's a whole world, and
it's a very strange, different little subworld of acting.
Yeah.
Although now it's a little different, where they're. Like Andrea Romano, who was the casting director for like every single show from the 80s on, really started hiring. Her whole edict was like, no, just hire people who can act well.
Right.
And no one had really done that.
Yeah.
They would be like, this person does 50 voices. And they're like, just hire a good actor.
Right.
And then they can do it.
Yeah.
And that sort of changed the way that the voices were in the 90s.
Yeah, I think I'd have to like really put some effort into it or get more famous or something would have to happen.
Get the stunt casting of it?
Yeah.
Where are we? Thursday? And then Friday night.
Friday night, Gong Show, Bugs Bunny, Logan's Run.
Oh, Logan's Run, the TV series.
Oh, that was the TV series.
Yes,
okay.
yeah.
I thought it was, I didn't even know there was a TV series.
Which was very disappointing.
Oh. The movie I liked only because my brother liked it. And I don't even know if I liked it, but he loved it so much that I think I liked it.
Right.
You know
you
what
just
I mean?
Had to try.
Sci-fi.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just was like, well, he loves it. I love it.
Was he a big sci-fi guy generally?
He just liked Logan's Run. I don't think he was big sci-fi. I don't know. I guess Logan's Run really captured.
Did he just like Jenny Agutter?
Definitely. I think, who knows? It was very cool, the whole...
It's a real action movie,
yeah, and the whole, like, the guy and the girl and I think the whole look of it was like,
It was a weird one, too, because Logan's Run was, like, one of the last big sci-fi movies before Star Wars. So it has this, like, big studio, sort of old Hollywood still, but, like, a sci-fi movie.
Yeah.
And the show was... that thing where they base a TV show on a movie and they don't have any money and they just keep reusing shots from the movie.
Oh, right.
And you're like, this is not.
I didn't realize it was a TV show, but yeah.
They were trying everything with it. There was when the Planet of the Apes TV show was on as well, and that didn't really do anything.
Oh, right.
But the cartoon's all right, just like the Star Trek cartoon.
Oh, yeah.
It's actually pretty good.
Okay,
Again, budget restrictions not as big a deal.
Right.
We can have a monster if we're drawing him.
Yeah.
We don't need a really bad costume.
Makes sense.
Anything else in there that you had this week?
Yeah, just that Gong Show, Bugs Bunny we talked about. Yeah.
Do you revisit those cartoons now ever?
I think I tried to show my kids, I think like Bugs Bunny and stuff like that, and I don't know why they didn't.
It just didn't click. Did they watch cartoons now? They watch like Adventure Time or like Rick and Morty?
My older one loves Rick and Morty, and now she's older, so she loves like BoJack and stuff. Older, she's like older now, but I don't know if I should. There's a point where you're like. It's so funny. You cannot watch Game of Thrones, I tell her. And meanwhile, I know she's seen. With the funniest thing, though, is remember that movie about the centipede, that horrendous...
Human centipede?
Yes. She, when she was little, I didn't even know this, told her dad that she had seen it. And just recently, she said to me, I never saw Human Centipede. And I was like, I didn't know you... even knew about that or thought.
To see it?
She said, I just said I did for some weird reason when I was like 9 years old. I don't know why I said it. And Dad has thought I've seen it ever since. And like, I was like, can I text him right away and tell him like you? Because that must have been like the worst moment for him.
I would have been like, did your mother show you that?
Right, exactly. But so there's a point where you're like, I can see everything. Just check in with yourself. Like, how are you feeling about this? Like, remember, like, just see like how this is making me feel. I don't know.
But do you remember when you were a kid, there was always like a kid at school who saw an R-rated movie that went on, and they would like, people would gather around and be like, let me tell you about this. Let me tell you about Scarface.
Right.
Or something. And they probably were just making it up. They probably didn't even see it.
I remember I think I saw A Star is Born with Barbra Streisand was my first R-rated, and I was so excited. And I didn't know what was R-rated in it, because I don't know if there is anything crazy in it compared to other movies. Or something, yeah, like, you know, like.
But you feel so sophisticated. Like as a kid,
I remember like, I've seen an R movie, but then I was like, what can I tell people I saw?
Some really hard R movie. Yeah, I saw Cruisin'.
Right.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
But I remember my parents, which I joke that I thought it was because they're really cool, but it was really because they just didn't want to get a babysitter, would take me to see like everything. Right. Because I'm like 6 and I'm seeing R-rated movies. But now I'm like, oh, that was not a good idea. But you felt so cool because you're like, I'm like an adult. So I imagine your daughter was like, I've seen that movie. Because people were talking about it so much in the media. Yeah,
I don't know why I have to ask her further because I don't know what. But she didn't see it. It's like, good, because I don't know.
So many people I know, and this is super nerdy, would go get the novelization of a movie, of an R-rated movie.
Okay.
Like RoboCop.
Right.
And read that and then be like, I saw that movie.
Oh,
but they
funny.
read the
that's
book.
Hilarious. The books that are written after the movie.
Yeah, from the script.
Funny.
One of my friends read Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Oh, really? Because he wasn't allowed to see. Oh, but the real one. No.
It's the book based on the movie.
Oh, and you're like, there's a real Dracula that's
Dracula.
like, or there's.
But he got caught once because a lot of times to get the book out when the movie would come out, they'd work on them simultaneously. So they'd write the book from the script, the shooting script. So sometimes when the book would come out, like deleted scenes are in the book.
Oh, funny.
So he was talking, I think it was Terminator. And he was telling kids at school about this awesome scene in Terminator that actually had been cut out. And it's in the book.
Funny.
And they were like, you didn't see Terminator.
Right.
He totally got caught that he read the book. So kids now probably not.
Hilarious. That's so funny.
I don't think your daughter read the novelization of Human Centipede. Let's hope that didn't happen.
I hope it didn't, because a lot of people would probably like that.
Is there a favorite show that you have now that like you'd love to be on, or like you watching like, oh, it'd be so cool to go be able to be part of this world, or direct or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm watching Crashing, Last Man on Earth, Baskets. I mean, I love Feud. I love all the, I like. I like all those.
You like comedy.
I like the comedies, but also I love, The Crown and, those kind of glossier ones.
The more cinematic
The Crown was
stuff.
amazing. Yeah, I love all the more cinematic stuff. That's what I'm hoping to do with this short. Like my other shorts were more like hip and whatever and experimental, but this one I want to like.
You did some music videos too. Did you? Against Me?
I did.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, that was so fun.
Because that's gonna be because you don't have to worry about like a plot, kind of.
Right. And I'm very narrative. I'm not like when I had to do music videos. I'm just like my husband's like, do something simple and like a concept, or I'm like, I just can't think of that. I always have to think of a story. And so in this, I just, Natasha Lyonne was in it, and I just did like a sort of Repulsion meets Safe, like a woman who's sort of
allergic to the world and losing her mind in a house. Yeah.
And so I just did that because I'm so movie oriented, storyteller, whatever. But I wish I could do. I love conceptual videos. Like, we're in the playground and he's upside down doing a dance on a thing or whatever, and he goes into the ground. And I'm like, how do you think of that? It's so imaginative.
Like there's for some reason that made me think of, there's a Public Image Limited video where John Lydon's living in a hole under this house. And so the whole video is one shot, is like a cutaway.
Right.
And above him, the world's going on, like different people move into this house, and then all these different things changes, and it goes over like years and years. And then at the end, he like crawls up into their living room.
Yeah,
but it's such I'm like, why would you even think of this?
Yeah,
like, this is just really weird.
Yeah. I mean, I think I could, like, if I had to, I brainstorm and I'll think of like a concept. But yeah, mainly
It's easier to like make a mini movie. Basically.
Yeah, and their stuff is so tense, so it worked out well against me one. But
because it builds to it's like a story structure.
Yeah,
it's a 3-act kind of thing.
Exactly.
Would you want to do more of that stuff, or was that kind of like I'm sort of building that skill set or practicing to do a larger narrative thing? Yeah,
I'm really working on doing more. Like I'm sort of like this TV directing stuff and sort of like developing things and trying to get things up and starting to have meetings. And I know a lot of people, so I'm starting like, I can have a meeting with that wonderful producer who does so many things, but I still have yet to, like, I sort of have, the books that I think would be good as movies and the ideas. And, there's so many podcasts that I'm like, that would be great. And, everybody wants that. But, I almost got lucky with a big podcast and a big director I'd worked with, and I got him excited, and I was like, I'm going to produce and you're going to direct. And I almost got him excited, but he was like so busy doing his thing. But he was like, that is a fantastic idea. But anyway, that would have been, I almost feel like that would have been, I need to do my work. Like I need to, I lucked out as an actress, but I feel like
it's your voice. There's a thing there.
I feel like if that, for example, had happened with this massive director and this huge podcast, it would have been almost too lucky. Like I need to kind of shadow directors, do some more videos, direct maybe, I don't know, a web series first, or like, but some people, like I know a couple showrunners, they're like, my next one, you can definitely direct it, so that'll happen. But I just feel like I need to do.
You feel like there are dues you did to
Yes, dues. That's the word I'm looking for. Like if that had happened and my first job was producing this David Fincher.
Start right at the top.
Like that's too lucky.
Yeah.
But
although there's a guy that started videos too.
He did all those videos. Yeah. So, and not that I think acting, of course, you can be from nowhere and then you're like this star. But I feel like directing, you kind of need to like.
Because you feel like it's more like
at least you
workman, technical.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I guess there's no rules, but.
Have you ever wanted to do a cartoon? Because like with the painting.
Oh, a cartoon.
And that kind of stuff.
Totally. I would love, I love this, I guess, fantasy book it's an English book of fairy tales. Like, I'm like, this would be amazing. But cartoons are so expensive. I did a children's book, and I was, I was doing a pitch with a producer and a writer to make it a kids show. But, it's funny when you put ideas together and then and the ones that just sort of don't stick, like you're excited about them and then I don't know, it's funny, the ones that are just pure just like inflated excitement about them, and this one we worked hard and it got grounded. That's what I'm saying. There's some things that feel grounded, and this one did, but it just I'm getting more and more kind of ready for those kinds of things. I feel like you have to kind of catch up to. You know what I mean? First
things
you feel
you're really passionate about, and you really like it, and then you go in and they're like, "No, what else you got?" And you're like, "But that was the thing," and you got it,
and catch up to that. It could happen to you, or that you're the person who's going to be creating something, or I feel like it's just starting to kind of like, I can go in and meet with this person, and possibly will truly start to develop.
Really
like there's like that door that other people know to go through. You're like, I can go through that, and you can sort of truly visualize it. But I'm sort of in this sort of like. It's getting there.
Because there are ideas that have to be like, oh, that'd be an awesome idea. Someone should make that. I'd like to watch it. Instead of being like, oh, you could do you can write that.
I mean, I usually think I can do that, but there's that fantasy of you're going to go in and meet with, like, now I do know like really successful people, but I'm going to sit down and say like, we should do a show that's just like this, and that they'll be like, great idea, let's do it, and ride off on horses together and make some.
So you have
show.
like, who am I to do that? That's not going to happen.
Well, no, or just I don't know. It's funny because sure it could, like you could have the chutzpah, or it just could, like this thing that almost was happening with David Fincher. It was like it just was, wasn't. I would have eaten my hat if it had really happened, because it would have felt so like, really? All of a sudden I'm producing something like this. But it could happen. But I just feel like, the
bar of nothing to huge is there's nothing in between.
Right.
So unlike other things where it's either doesn't happen at all or it's this gigantic thing.
Right.
It's not like you would go in with that thing and they'd go, yeah, this is great. Let's do it halfway or do a much smaller version. Like
Right,
it's kind of,
right.
So
I mean, it was a good growth because I was starting to really put together a lot. I went, with the agents and then the creator and then it was a lot of like, I was like crash course producing for a second.
the legwork.
And of course, people like David Fincher, he does read books and he does go down the line, like going to develop things. So it wasn't like the weirdest thing that could happen in the whole world. I know like Charlize Theron produces, people produce, like actresses produce, but yeah, it's just it is a funny thing. I don't even know what I'm talking about exactly, but if it if it catches up to, I don't know though.
It hasn't quite got there yet.
I mean, it is, but I don't know what. I'm just learning about it. I guess I'm just sort of imagining. It's sort of like I didn't know I would be an actor, but after so many years, I had all this, I had all this like experience. And
you're now an actor, whether you try to be
like,
or not.
I have all these things that I can remember doing. But so.
You kind of need that one thing to break the seal, it sounds like.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, it all feels like really, it all feels like there's some sort of plan in place that I'm just sort of, I don't know.
Like you're
it feels
treading
right
until you hit the right thing? Or?
No, I feel like I'm taking the right steps. Like it felt really good at the time to shadow, and it feels good to develop this short and to do it, I'm doing it like with a really great actress, and I'm liking the story, and I'm feeling like I'm putting together like good people, and I have like, I don't know, I feel like I'm sort of,
it's like a pacing thing almost. You're doing it at the right
I feel
pace.
like I'm doing, I'm all the things I'm doing. I feel like it's right. It's feeling right.
Right. So it sounds like you almost didn't want to do stuff too much too quickly, and it's better at a sort of slow release pace.
I mean, I would have, but it just felt, I guess what I was saying is I had a bit of a fantasy when I was like, maybe I'm going to just direct some more and produce. And then when I hooked up all these like big meetings, had a couple pitches, and I sort of thought I would walk in.
This could happen.
And they'd be like, wow, I really like that option that you had, and now it's lapsed, and let's get it again, and let's do this, at Showtime and whatever, or wherever I was going in. And it was more like advice.
Right.
And more like, check back in with me after you've done a few more things.
Next time you do this, we'll talk again.
Yeah. So I think it's more like, and I'm just feeling sort of like, cool, like everything is making sense.
Yeah. Well,
and every thing is sort of you learn so much.
Yeah, I think the stuff ends up finding you almost sometimes.
Yeah.
Like it ends up being,
people come out of the woodwork. There's like periods where you feel like you're hooking it up and making a list, like who should I meet with, and then there's times where it's just sort of someone.
Once you hit that thing too, like you go back and look and you're like, I'm kind of glad those other things didn't line up because I wouldn't have gotten this wouldn't have happened. It's almost like that.
Yeah.
It's right now. Although it's harder to jump on board with that before that's happened. But I'm not like a big picture, like a fate kind of person.
Right.
But at the same time, I'm always like, things kind of do just end up working out right most of the time, where it's like the right thing happens at the right time.
I know, it's so true.
It's coming. It's coming.
I know. And it's so funny because it's like, as I get older, I'm happier, but it's also, I think I'm more, aware of things and in my body and all that stuff. So work feels harder.
Yeah.
But it also feels like I need to, just because I know I don't know, I want to, but I do have that thing of like, oh, maybe I should just paint and forget all this. But so on one hand, it's like better than ever, the experience of working in life. And then on the other hand, it's kind of harder than ever in a weird way.
It's more satisfying because it feels more earned, probably.
Yeah. And it's more grounded in general. So it feels, less dramatic, but it's also, and I'm less sort of out of it, like just like,
well, you're more in control of what you're doing too. Like, it sounds like
so on one hand you're like, I'm more grounded, so I'm experiencing it in a in a more like less dramatic but kind of more real way, so it's great, but it's also like kind of hard. Like at least the drama there was times where I was like, I'm,
The highs are higher and the lows are lower.
Yeah, and just sort of like, I didn't even, I think was in San Francisco doing a movie. Not that I was like partying, but just even
It's
just
a
being
blur.
young,
Yeah.
and you're like, where am I?
You don't know anything different, so it's hard. There's nothing to compare it to, so it kind of just becomes like whatever.
Now it's like everything is sort of, I'm taking it all in.
Yeah, and you can compare it to past experience too.
Right.
So it's a compare and contrast thing where you're like, this is different or the same as this.
Yeah, but the quality is feeling good lately, so that's good.
That's awesome. That's like the best thing you can.
Yeah, I don't know anything about like manifestation exactly, but I do know that it's like, what do you want to do? Like, agents, if you go to a new agency, or people ask, like, what kind of movies do you want? I'm like, quality. That's all. So it's sort of like, maybe I've thought that enough that it's starting to happen.
I do hate that when I've met with people and they're like, so tell me what the Ken Reed show would be.
Right.
And I'm like, I don't, what?
Yeah.
No. Yeah. And then, when I've written shows, the one that they have me write up is the one where I was like, I told you everything I thought of and I just pulled this out.
I know, it's so annoying when I really don't like that. When people are not satisfied, it's kind of like angry people when they're like, you made a mistake. And you're like, I'm really sorry. I know I made a mistake. And they want you to fix the wound from their childhood. And you're like, I won't be able to fix that.
Yeah.
And it's like, I feel that way sometimes I've had acting teachers and I do a scene and like, it just feels like they never thought I got there. I'm like, maybe I never got there, but just drop it because even a pitch, like, but this pitch wasn't, no. I'm like, okay, just say it wasn't, just don't make me feel I have to fix the entire world. Like, that's that. That's, or like, what kind of movies do you want to be in?
Yeah.
I would like to, be in, I don't know, A Room with a View or some Merchant Ivory movie. I don't know. Then they're like, it didn't satisfy them.
Yeah.
It's like, that's all I've got.
What would you like to do that we want you to like to do?
Yeah, like what are your
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know. I'm sorry, I'm not satisfying you, but I'm telling you, this is my vibe. This is what I'm into.
Well, I always wonder. It's like you probably called me in for a specific reason because of a thing that I do, but then want something totally different.
I'm not fixing some.
It's very strange.
You wanted salty, and I'm giving you sweet.
It's a very frustrating world, but things sometimes work out.
Yeah, and then sometimes when you hit it off, you hit it off.
So thank you so much for doing this. It's been great talking to you about this stuff.
Yeah,
cool. Donnie and Marie have never looked cooler than this cover, though, I will say as well. But they almost look like it's like a new wave Donnie and Marie.
Yeah, he's so tan and she's so pale.
Do you remember when he had to come out as the mystery artist?
Oh, no.
When he did that song Soldier of Love in the late 80s.
Oh, no.
He released it to radio stations without his name on it as the mystery artist. And then it hit the top 10 as a pop song. And then he was like, it's really Donny Osmond, because he was like, they wouldn't have played it otherwise.
Oh,
because they
were so corny.
Puppy love and whatever.
That's amazing. I remember that. And I remember my mom was so liberal, whatever, like non-religious type of person when I found out they were religious.
Oh, the Mormons, yeah.
Oh, they're Mormon.
They're Mormons, yeah.
So when I thought they were Christian, but when I was little, I remember I was so brainwashed by my, Jewish liberal family that I was like, I don't like them. And it's like so,
cult members.
Yeah, it's like so kind of, it's funny, the liberal brainwashing, because when you're a liberal, you think, no, this is the best.
Yeah.
And you don't realize that
we're so much more aware.
Yeah, like maybe you also were brainwashed, not to say one's whatever.
Yeah.
But I remember turning on them a little bit.
Same here. Like,
I knew they were weird.
Yeah.
They're Christian. They're not even
creepy things. But you're like, whatever. It's what they do. They're into it and they're doing their thing and it's fine. Yeah.
I liked them before that.
I don't mind them. Although Jimmy Osmond still scares me. Little Jimmy Osmond, terrifying. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
There you go. Ione Skye, great talking to her. Check her out on that new show on HBO. If you haven't for some reason seen Say Anything, that's an essential piece of her filmography that you should go back and watch. She's one of those actors that I always love when she pops up and stuff. It's always a nice thing to go, oh, this is going to be good because Ione's in it. So can't go wrong with anything she's done. Another way you can't go wrong is to email me. You can do so at TV. What a transition that was. I am a professional, everybody. TV guidance counselor at gmail.com. ken@icanread.com or ken@icanread.com. icanread.com, of course, being my stand-up comedy page, as I am also a stand-up comedian. You can see live dates there for my stand-up comedy, as well as live TV guidance counselor appearances. In June, I'll be at Denver Comic-Con again this year, running some panels. I'll be doing some shows with Todd Barry for a weekend in New England. I won't go over them all there, but you can go on there and find out where I will be. We also have our new Just the 10 of Us Growing Pains tribute enamel pins up there if you want to buy stuff at icanread.com. They're pretty fun, or albums or any of that stuff. Also, if you really like the show and you wish to contribute to our Patreon, it is patreon.com/TV Guidance Counselor. Give $1, $10, $1 million a month, whatever you want, or nothing. But it does help me do the show. I'm happy to do the show. I pay for it. I'm a one-man show here. It's all me. But thanks to the Patreons, I no longer lose money doing the show, and it helps me travel, go to New York, go to LA, and get great guests like Ione. So thank you for that. We have brand new episodes each and every Wednesday, so if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the show. And if you subscribe and you have a moment, please rate and review the show wherever you subscribe. It is a great help to getting word out about the show. So thanks again, and we'll see you next time on a brand new edition of TV Guidance Counselor.
What would Jesus do, Davey? Jesus wouldn't do that, Davey.
Probably
My
was.
dog died on the day I was watching Phil Donahue.